Sarah had always been a skeptic. Ghosts, ghouls, and haunted houses were the stuff of movies and horror novels, not her reality. But when she inherited an old mansion from her late great-uncle, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the place. The house stood on the outskirts of a small town, isolated and surrounded by dense woods, making it the perfect setting for the tales of terror that locals whispered about. Sarah dismissed these stories, viewing them as nothing more than figments of overactive imaginations. Upon her arrival, she was struck by the mansion's decaying beauty. High ceilings, vintage furniture, and dusty chandeliers hinted at a bygone era. She decided to stay the night, intending to assess what needed to be renovated. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the mansion seemed to come alive, creaking and groaning with a life of its own. Sarah laughed it off as old wood settling. Night fell, and Sarah found herself restless. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows. She curled up in an antique armchair, reading a book by candlelight. Suddenly, a chill ran down her spine as she heard faint whispers. She stood up, listening intently. The whispers grew louder, echoing through the long dark corridors. They seemed to be calling her name. Heart-pounding, she followed the sound to a small, locked door she'd overlooked during her initial walkthrough. With trembling hands, she fumbled with the rusty key she found in her pocket and opened the door. It creaked open to reveal a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Sarah hesitated before stepping down, her curiosity overpowering her fear. Each step felt heavier than the last. At the bottom, she found herself in a dimly lit cellar. Shadows danced on the walls. In the center of the room stood an old, ornate mirror. As she approached it, Sarah noticed something strange. Her reflection was not alone. Behind her stood a ghostly figure, a woman in a white gown. Sarah spun around, but the cellar was empty. She turned back to the mirror, and the woman was still there, her expression sorrowful. The figure raised a hand, pointing to a dusty diary on a nearby table. Sarah picked it up and began to read. It chronicled the life of Eleanor, a woman who had lived in the mansion over a century ago.